Hello, magical woman. Welcome back to the Turned On Woman podcast. This is your host, Lauren, and I'm so glad that you're here today for our final episode of 2025. And I've been holding on to this theme for a while, and the whole point of being a turned on woman is to alchemize your energy, which really means to take anything that is feeling stuck, feeling heavy, feeling like you're living in a loop or a pattern, this old conditioned way of being that when we start to wake up and we start to become more self-aware, we take these parts of ourselves that we also kind of call like our shadow parts, and we alchemize them into a new form of energy, taking that fear and seeing it for what it is. What is the story behind it? What is the truth that we've been holding on to, but that no longer serves us? And how do we turn that fear into the energy of love, of having a new story behind it that is more loving, that is of more possibility, limitlessness versus an old story that is limited. So today is all about this great undoing that has been unfolding in my life and will unfold in your life in some way at some point. And this year, this started when I took a trip to Peru. So this has been like the second half of the year for me. The second half of the year started when I went to Peru for 2 months over the summer. And the opposite of this doing energy is very rooted in our default masculine-based society. And this patriarchal society is not wrong, and it's not, just about men or anything like that. It's just about that we've adopted belief systems and ways of doing things that are literally rooted in action and gaining more and like power and control over people versus empowering people and creating connection and collaboration and things like that. So the opposite of this doing action-oriented way of being lifestyle, this norm that we've created for ourselves, we could also call it like a paradigm that we live in, is this beingness, is moving into this more feminine aspect that creates this energy within. It's this unseen realm. And a lot of times when I work with clients, they're like, yeah, but like not a lot is happening. Like there's not like men coming to me and all these things. And, I'm not going on as many dates as I used to. And that's actually a good thing because you're more focused on this internal unseen world, which is full of energy and emotion and perception and self-awareness, that there's actually so many changes that are actually happening, but the external is going to catch up. But it's so important that we take time to cultivate this internal state of being, perception, energy, frequency, so that it goes first before taking action. So what this also looks like in the dating world is oftentimes we think like, oh, dating is a numbers game and I'm just going to get, the more dates I go on, I'm just going to get lucky one day. But the thing is like going on more dates does not change your frequency. It does not change the energy from which you are attracting or the perception, the lens through which you are perceiving the world. So unless you're taking lessons and actually integrating them back into, making those changes from the inside out. So when you're going on more dates, that's actually not changing your internal world, which is not increasing your chances of meeting a man. The actual work that needs to be done is very internal. Is, what are my beliefs, my thoughts, my stories about myself? What is my perception of the world? Do I expect the best or am I expecting the worst? Am I rooted in possibility and love, or am I rooted in scarcity and limitation? So when you can do, this is why I do the inner work with women, is because when you can do the frequency work first, you actually get to do less. Like you don't need to take as much action because you're actually taking action and doing things in your life that feel good for you to do. And a lot of times that means not doing what you think you have to do, not doing what you think is expected of you or what you should do. We always hear like, get rid of all the shoulds in your life. And this is why. Because if you're doing something from a frequency of, I need to do this, I should do this, this is expected of me, then you don't have clean energy going into that action. You don't have magnetic energy. And changing this frequency requires stop doing what you've been doing and start listening to what are the voices and the beliefs and the common things that you think you need to do. Those what would you call it? Like impulsive behaviors. What is it that you think you need to do in order to receive what you desire, which would be the love, the man, the relationship in your life? So I want to tell you a little story where I really saw this like great undoing. Now, attracting men and attracting money are the same thing. Everything is actually rooted in love, the frequency of love. Also, we could add on to that like authenticity and truth. And that's the whole reason why we're here on earth, is to awaken into our truth, to break cycles from the past. This is the way that I see things. Like our soul comes here with this like contract, this purpose of like, okay, you're going to be born into this family or this situation, and you either get to make that mean something about you, or you take, your situation and you alchemize it into your power, your purpose to empower people back to knowing that they are the creator of their life. Okay, so I want to get into the story so I can start to illustrate this for you. So my boyfriend and I planned this trip to go to Peru this summer because we wanted to get away from the rainy season in Mexico, try something new. And I was thinking like, great, change of environment. It's going to be cooler weather. I'm going to be so productive. I'm going to like double down on my business. I'm going to, create so many podcast episodes. I'm just going to create all the content. I'm going to do all the things, right? I was like, I'm finally going to be in the flow. And while that was seemingly maybe with good intention, what I have since come to realize is that was actually me. Actually, the frequency behind that was, I don't want to get behind. I want to get ahead. I want to make things happen. I want to, I want to fill up my bank account because it's empty, things like that. Like it was rooted in lack, scarcity, getting behind. So I need to get ahead. I need to be productive. I need to do all these things. And here's what happened. When we got to Peru, it was a little bit of an adjustment period. It's very dry there, a little bit colder than we expected. So that was probably the biggest adjustment, is because we're used to being in like humid, warm weather, obviously. And so we took some time to adjust. And I was like, cool, I can take like a week off of producing content and things like that. And then I got a stomach bug, and that put me out for like a couple of days. And then I got this like head cold. And when your body is in this like repair, healing phase, that's kind of like this survival mode. It's like the lower 3 chakras, and you don't have this creative energy because your energy is not overflowing. It's literally in that survival, healing, repair mode. And all of a sudden I started to realize, like, it's so funny because at 2 weeks into being in Peru, I was like, oh my gosh, like we only have 8 weeks here. Like we're running out of time. Like I just felt like I'd already wasted so much time because I had been sick and I'd been like recovering. And then I was like, wait, this is actually showing me the opposite of what I expected. And I was like, or what I kind of like had in mind for myself. And so I was like, what if I just surrender to it? What if instead of doing all the things that I thought I would do while I was here, not to mention like, taking weekend trips and all the things too, I was like, what if I just stop trying to make myself do more things? And I said, instead, the only thing I'm going to do is actually focus on my meditation practice, which I've always been wanting to really dedicate time towards. And what if I just go on walks, enjoy nature, and listen to Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural audiobook? And I was like, what if that's the only thing I have to do? And what happened was in that silence, in this dedication to meditation, I started to hear the stories, the expectations, the, subconscious beliefs that I would wake up with that told me I need to go do something to prove myself, to earn money, to be worthy. And what happens, this is why I love Joe Dispenza's meditations so much, is because he really takes you into the quantum field. And I really started to connect the dots here, because when he takes you into the quantum field, you have to become nothing, as in you have to let go of your identity of who you think you are. And I started to become obsessed with this becoming nothing, with entering into this like field of nothingness, darkness, expansiveness. And what was great about that is because then I started looking forward to my meditations, because I was like, ooh, I want to become nothing. Because be with me here for a moment. Feel into the becoming nothing. Like you're just a leaf floating in the wind, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. You're not, a 30-something-year-old woman with this purpose and, with this like, I got to go work out for the day, and then I got to cook all these things, and I got to, go about my daily routine. It's like there's nothing to do. And it's this ultimate sense of relief and of just being present. So when you can let go of this identity of who you think you are, and you truly just allow your body and your mind to just be there, and your mind is focused just on that nothingness, it's so truly expansive and draws you into the present moment. Like, I don't know. Well, now I was going to say like nothing else, but dance will do that to you as well, as long as you're out of the monkey brain and you're like actually truly just moving and being in the moment. So if you're like embodied in a dance movement, that is also very present. So I became obsessed with this space of being. And then from that place, I could truly hear, and also more so kind of like feel, because feelings come with thoughts. Like there's like a thinking feeling pair, because when you think something, you feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, there's always a thought behind it. So they come in pairs. This is also our like electromagnetic frequency that Joe Dispenza has us use. When we think a thought, we send it out, and then we feel it with our heart, and that's the magnetism. So it's like electro, the thought, the magnetism is feeling from your heart. So I started to understand, what is my habitual pattern that's going on here? Not even knowing that I was even looking for that or anything. But I could start to understand, oh, I do have this pattern where my body wakes up and I'm automatically like stressed, thinking I need to be productive for the day. Okay, I need to get my coffee. I need to be, start doing things. Like I couldn't just, naturally wake up and enjoy and just be present, and it's kind of like, oh, I don't have time to meditate. And that's the opposite of this true beingness. And when you don't need to do anything, when you truly just allow yourself to be present, that's when you know you are worthy. And I knew on a conscious level in my mind, like, oh yeah, I'm inherently worthy. I'm always worthy. Like every single person is worthy. But I didn't realize that I had habitual patterns that were actually the opposite of that, because I was waking up not feeling worthy, because I was thinking, oh, I need to get up and I need to do these things and I need to prove myself and I need to be productive. and I need to have something to show for it. And all of a sudden, when I got to this quietness, spaciousness of just being, that where I was like, wow, I don't have to do anything and I'm still worthy. That then I was like, okay, from this place of being, and this is the frequency of matching the quantum field where all possibilities exist, because when you identify as nothing, then all of a sudden you can do anything. And then it's like, okay, well then what is it that I want to do? What is my natural desire? What do I want to create? Because there's nothing I need to do, but as humans, we are creators. So what do I want to create? What feels good for me to create? And then sometimes there was a story of like, yeah, but if I want to create that, like, is that right? Is that wrong? And then also getting rid of that story of like, there is no right and wrong. The only thing that matters is that you feel good doing it. And that's actually why I'm here creating this podcast today, is because I feel good sharing the story, creating the podcast. Like, I'm literally just sitting at my desk, kind of watching the computer audio go by as it's recording, and then looking out the other way over the patio where there's this like palm tree and the blue sky and a little bit of clouds. And I'm just like, truly, this is amazing. I get to create this right now. And I get to create it to be whatever I want it to be. And this is going to reach amazing people at any point in their journey. And they're going to get some goodness and some value from it. And that's amazing. And so it's like, what is it that your heart wants to create? And can you let go of it being right, being wrong, being cringe, being whatever? Let go of those stories. Allow yourself to share your experience if that feels good for you. Yes, sometimes it's going to feel a little vulnerable and it's not going to be perfect. And like, yes, I had a little bit of like, ooh, how's this going to go? I don't really have anything, like, I don't have an outline for this. I just knew I'm going to go in, I'm going to share my story from my heart. I'm going to, show that there's a doing and there's an undoing, and that there's an action and a being, and that here's where we are. Okay. So I'm trying to illustrate how this frequency works when we can really get to the root of just this beingness. And the point of that is to acknowledge that we are so worthy. And can we get rid of these patterns and habits that we do that it's like, that are trying to prove our worthiness? And when we get rid of that pattern, then we just know. You start to recognize that feeling. So I meditated, I think around 40 to 45 days while we were in Peru, because we were there for 2 months, but I didn't start until about a week in. And I decided I'm going to do 100 days of meditation. Because at first, the first couple of days are crunchy and inconsistent, and you feel your body or your mind being like, oh, I should go make coffee now instead and just be productive for the day. Or, oh, I should, go for a workout, and that's going to feel better than meditation. Or, we have these like, the body is habitually wired in a way where it wants to pull us away from like focus and being, because it's so used to another pattern. And so I had to repattern in my body. Hey, sit down, sit still, literally training it like a dog. And this is what Joe Dispenza's book says too. Train yourself like a dog to sit still and to breathe. And then after about a week, I started to really enjoy that space of becoming nothing. And then from that space, then I was like, oh, like the 100 days, then I was like, I'm going to do 100 days of meditation. This is going to like feel so good. I started to have like favorite meditations that I would go back to. I just started to like see life through this new lens. And I was creating this muscle of inner knowing of, I don't have to do anything. Everything that I do is because I decide that I want to do it. And if I do feel like I have to do something, all of a sudden I catch myself And I'm like, wait a second. Why do I feel like I have to do this? And can I come at this from a place, a more abundant, a more limitless, a more possibility and love place of like, instead of, oh, I have to run errands today. I have to go to the grocery store and I have to pick this up and I have to do this. What if it's like, oh, I get to leave the house today and I get to make connections with other people and I get to be open to the possibility of who could come across my path, or what things I could receive, or what inspirational ideas I'm going to get from being out of the house and things like that. So at any moment, we can switch into this lens of, I like to call it the lens of love, but it's also like this inner knowing of, I don't have to do anything, but I can actually make this work for me if I choose to see the possibility and the limitlessness in it, and the love and the connection in it. And so I let myself just not do much while I was in Peru, because I actually, like, the mountains, the energy there really like sat me on my ass. And it was because I kept getting sick consistently, because there's like a water thing there, and I was a little too generous with the water. Because in Mexico, you don't have to worry about the water as much as once you've been living here a little bit. So anyway, I was a little too generous with like the water in Peru. I wasn't drinking it, but like brushing your teeth and, washing some fruits and veggies and things like that, which apparently it just didn't work out for me. So that's okay. Anyway, it was like, although I didn't get the summer that I expected, which, remember, was rooted in actually some lack, scarcity, call it like overly masculine, action oriented, productivity, proving energy. Of course, I didn't get what I expected because it was rooted in that energy. But I got exactly the experience that I needed to repattern this belief system in my body, to change my habits, to now I meditate more often. I'm actually I took a little bit of break of like consistent meditating, but now I'm back on another 100-day journey of meditating consistently, because it makes such a difference for me. So of reminding myself of that space and recognizing how you feel. It's really like knowing that peacefulness and groundedness, and that it's the anti-anxious. Like, literally, sometimes we're anxious and we think we need to do these things and get all these things done and da 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 da. But then it's like, wait, there's like actually a peaceful, present version of myself. And we remember over time, as we practice it, we remember how that feels. And like when we're in an anxious space, environment, something's happening that's chaotic outside of us, then now you can have the skill to take a deep breath and remind yourself of that peaceful, grounded state to bring you back into that regulated state. So that from that state, you can show up for others, you can show up for yourself with love and compassion. And this is not to be perfect, but this is just so that you can feel good more often. And from that place, you can also then receive, from a regulated state, we receive guidance and intuition and creative ideas, and we don't cut ourselves off from that flow of that universal flow of it's like God source energy that is just like you're in tune with it because you're on the frequency and you're receiving the intuition and the creative ideas. It's like, it's that feeling of when you get in the shower and you know exactly what to do, and therefore you're not actually thinking about it, and that's why you're just doing the things. And this is actually when this is because we give the analytical mind an activity to do, which is, moving our hands, grabbing the soap, doing the things, but it's so automatic. It's just like driving. You also probably get this feeling when you're driving. It's like, I know exactly where I'm going, da, 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 and you're not really even consciously thinking. So the analytical mind is busy doing the things that it knows how to do. Therefore, when that piece of your mind, part of your mind, is out of the way, that's when you can actually receive the intuition, the downloads, the ideas. That's why getting in the shower or going for a drive feels so good, because it's so calming for your brain. And this is exactly what meditation is doing as well. When you are focusing, the analytical mind is just focusing on the nothingness, the quantum field, the letting go, just being. That's what the analytical mind is doing. It's not trying to not think. It's just focusing on spaciousness, blackness. This is why Joe Dispenza's meditations are actually kind of like choreographed in the way that they are, because he's trying to get your awareness. There's a perception field, like a near perception field, and then a wide perception field. He's trying to get your perception, your awareness to go wider, so that your brain is focused there and not focused on the details of who you are, the identity. So then you can actually be open and receptive, and you have access to the subconscious mind, which is where all the ideas and the downloads and the things come from. And the reason, again, this roots you into your worthiness as a being. And when you can practice this state of being, then you know how that feels. And you can bring yourself into that state more often and at any time that you need. Like, it's not always super easy, I'll say. No one's perfect. This isn't about perfection, but this is about practicing so that you can change your dominant vibration, so that you can be more possibility, more limitlessness, more love more often. But then we also use the world as a mirror to show us, okay, what's still within me that is, needs some compassion and some love and some rewiring, so that I can be more free from the inside out, more limitless, more rooted in possibility, so that I can create in a way that feels good, so I can create abundance and love in my life, because I am a worthy being. So as you hear this, I want you to think about, okay, are there ways that you can start to sit still for yourself? Can you really be present, whether it's in a morning meditation or you're going on a walk or things like that, and allow yourself to hear, what are the stories? What are the beliefs that I need to do today? What do you think you need to do? Do you even think you need to be on a dating app? Like, that was something for me early on in dating, where I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to be on a dating app. I just trust that I am going to meet my man in person. And that then gave me this beautiful challenge of, okay, then who am I being in person? Am I judging other people, or am I being open to connection? It made me so nervous to be around men in person at first, because I was like, what's he thinking about me? All these things. And I was so worried about what he was thinking that I've had to rewire. I mean, this is a couple years ago, but I literally rewired the focus to, what do I think about this man? Because I know who I think I am, and this is who I believe I am, but I didn't have that at the very beginning. I was so worried about what other men were thinking about me. And so we changed the perception by being still and really being able to listen and be self-aware of, like, okay, what are the thoughts that I am having? What are the beliefs that I am having? What's this conversation that's going on in my head that's unconscious to you, right? Because it's a practiced, these are subconscious beliefs, and they're just practice. And so this is where we want to understand, like, okay, this is the conversation that's happening in my head over and over again. How do I actually make this conversation start to work for me? How can I rework this conversation? And this is the inner work that I do with women, so that it's like, okay, I start to see their patterns. My clients talk to me and tell me, okay, this is what was going on for me. This is what was going on in my head. Here's how I was feeling in the situation. And we talk about, like, okay, what does this mean for this woman, and how she can alchemize and change this conversation, this narrative in her life, so that she can show up as a magnetic woman. Because here's the thing I never want you to forget, is that you always have all the energy inside of you that you will ever need. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. The thing is that your energy is stuck in old narratives, fears, blocks, beliefs, likely in these survival mode in the lower three chakras. And that energy, though, can be released. A lot of women, too, also have this guilt and this shame. Those are also like shadow energies of the lower three chakras. And those things are all very valid. And they're all, though, a beautiful way that make you who you are. And you get to see, oh, where does this shame or this guilt that I'm holding on to? And what do I actually get to make it mean for my life? How can I alchemize it? How can I rewrite this narrative, this story, this truth so that it serves me and that it also serves others around me so that I can, I show up as the best version of me, then I'm showing up as the best version for other people, my partner, my future family. And that is when you become the creator of your life. That is a turned on woman who is looking at these shadow parts of herself, stuck energies, the old conditioning, and alchemizing it into this frequency of love, of magnetism, of possibility, of play, so that you are more free and you know your power as a creator. And you also know that you are worthy as fuck. And that is the whole point. That negative emotions, and when unfortunate, we could call them also like negative things happen in our life, they are there to show us what is going on inside of us so that we can release it, as in alchemize it and make it work for us. Make it work for us. Oftentimes, if we are lashing out, there is, our you could characterize it as your inner child. There's an energy within you that wants to be seen, that wants to be acknowledged. And it's like, okay, where did that come from? Did it come from fear? Did it come from not feeling safe? Did it come from wanting to be acknowledged? Where is that coming from? And how can you soothe and nurture that side of yourself and also use that energy to go do those things? Use that energy to validate yourself, to soothe yourself, to make yourself feel safe and validated. Rather than trying to get it from the outside. Yes, co-regulation is a good thing, but we also want to be able to have the skill of regulating ourselves and to acknowledge, like, okay, this part of me is showing up. What is it showing me? How can I take this part of me and be a more powerful, free, loving, peaceful version of myself so that literally you can win at life? Literally, you can be the creator of your life. You can have and receive anything that you desire because you're not trying to prove anything, to perform for anything, to try to get anything, to try to be more worthy, because you already are. So, going into 2026, how can you do fewer things and work on your internal frequency, recognize your patterns, recognize even your thought patterns, your behavioral patterns, and be like, where is this coming from? Why am I actually doing this? Do I actually need this? Am I dependent on this? Do I think that this is going to make me a better person, more productive? Like, do I need to show up this way because, society has a beauty standard and things like that, Whatever it is, look at what are those reoccurring patterns and how can you alchemize them into something that actually works for you? And if you want help with this is exactly what I do for women, is we work on your internal world, your internal identity, your focus, your attention, your beliefs, your emotional state of being. What is it that you are feeling? And are you actually believing, in what is possible for you? And are you putting that emotion behind the beliefs that you want to believe is possible for you? So, all right, my love. That's what I have for you today. Take yourself on a journey of a great undoing. Maybe that means deleting the dating apps. Maybe that means changing your morning routine to do less and recognize, okay, what are the narratives, what are the thoughts, the stories that come up that tell you need to do a certain thing in order to be a certain person, and that proves that you're worthy and productive and, lovable. Challenge those narratives. This is the beauty of slowing down so that you can actually hear what is the voice that is running the show. Because if your subconscious mind is running the show, then you are not consciously creating your life moment to moment. You are just running a default program that was created from childhood or created at some point in your life and practiced over and over and over again, but likely created and started in childhood and then practiced and practiced and practiced. And it feels normal, but it's actually not serving you. So, happy end of the year 2025. And I'm so excited for this podcast, for more Turned On Women to be tuning in 2026. The podcast is going to have regular episodes going into 2026. And I'm sending you so much love. Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 2026.